Hi, my name is Lauren Moberg, and this is my final for Applied Concepts in Fashion Merchandising. I've decided to take a bit of a different approach and present this to you guys in the form of a video as if I was sitting in front of the buyers at Barney's, New York, trying to get them to buy into Stella Jean, a very modern yet beautiful and chic Italian ready-to-wear collection that is new to the market. So here's the deck that I've brought along to share with the buyers at Barney's that will go through the different steps and how we can get them to start carrying our line, as I think that it could be a great fit for both Stella Jean and Barney's New York. So I'm going to be meeting with Allison, who's the senior buyer for women's designer and ready-to-wear. So let's get started. Hi, Allison. Lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for taking this meeting with me today. I'm very excited to see the hopes and possibilities of the partnership between Stella Jean and Barney's New York, because as you know, the line is absolutely beautiful and I think could work extremely well for your customers. So I wanted to start off with a quote from Stella herself, and she says, "Fashion can be used as a cultural translator and a tool against colonization. It reestablishes the balance between symbols, stories, and different worlds through style." So Stella's approach is so much more than just creating a fashion line. It's creating a story. It's touching into her heritage, as we'll see throughout in her sourcing of fabrics from Haiti and the use of ethical standards in Africa as well to create a beautiful line. Here's a brief overview of what we'll be touching on, Allison, so you can kind of just get a sense of what to expect, and we can go from there. So just to touch on a brief overview about Stella Jean, the label in general. It launched in 2012 at Milan Fashion Week. She was selected by Giorgio Armani to open up his show at the Teatro. She's a modern Italian designer with Haitian roots, and she definitely touches on those roots, as I mentioned previously, through the sourcing of her fabrics. If you look in her SS15 collection, which we'll be showing you today, the patterns are reflective of the lifestyle there, bright colors, vibrant patterns, and that's always been her statement. As you can see in the photo to the right, which is Stella herself wearing one of her skirts and also showcasing a piece from her collection. It's a sense of very effortless, cool, chic through bold patterns, trying to tell a story, evoke an emotion, and bring culture into fashion. As I said, she uses non-traditional colors and patterns, which I think could still work out really well for the Barney's customer, as she's forward-thinking, she's high fashion, she's willing to take risks, which we'll touch on in the next couple of slides as well. But, you know, just to get thinking and seeing how these two parties can merge and come together, as I think it could be a really great fit. I know Barney's is very forward thinking and innovative in fashion, and that's Stella's goal as well, to attempt to, you know, reinvent fashion and reinvent what typical beauty is in the woman. In London, they've been extremely receptive to Stella Jean, as they're used to, you know, the multicultural influence in fashion. And in the US as well, creative director at Moda Operandi, Taylor Tomasi Hill, socialite and CEO of Moda, Lauren Santo Domingo, along with many other socials, have been seen sporting Stella Jean, further showcasing that the clientele does merge and overlap. So let's turn to the next page, Allison, and we can really dive into who is the customer of Stella Jean. She's young, she's modern, but at the same time, traditional roots, wanting to look sexy while making a statement, and Stella does this beautifully. Although some of her pieces are a little bit boxy and bright and, you know, things like that, her silhouettes are super flattering on the woman's body. It's hugging the curves in the right places, as you see in this dress worn by Lauren Santo Domingo of Moda Operandi. It cinches in at the waist and it creates this hourglass figure. The scoop neck is very sexy on the woman, and her skirts, like I said, while being loud, are still showcasing the beauty of the woman's body along with the femininity of it. I would say the target age is going to be about 25 to 35. We have to be sure that we're still targeting a young customer, as it is bright patterns and bold statements. We think that the pieces would work best in high fashion cities where they understand. Maybe down the road road in the Midwest, something like that. But as of right now, it's New York, it's LA, it's places like that where they're not afraid to take risks, and there's definitely the higher disposable income that these women have to be able to spend on clothing. We also want somebody who appreciates culture, somebody who's well traveled. Um, there's so much that goes into the creation of Stella's line and the stories and the history, and we want the customer to appreciate that and to really have a sense of culture and of a global world and a global market. So now that we know who wears Stella Jean, let's look at who is shopping at Barney's. As you know all of this information. I just want to reiterate with you so we can kind of see the comparison and see where it slots in. So 50.7% of the customers are women, which is great. Age range is 29 to 43, which fits perfectly into our demographic. Moderate income of 76,000 annually. That's independent, not taking into consideration household. So our price points, which I'll touch on later, fit into that. They're a bit higher as they're designer ready to wear, but at the same time, we're not looking haute couture. Um, so I think that, it could work in a contemporary setting within Barney's. Your customer is not super affected by the shifts in the economy and can support our price points. They're not afraid to try new brands. They're women who travel and are worldly and really fit into this global desire and demand that we want in our retailers that Stella carries. These are the women that have summer homes in the Hamptons, their kids in boarding schools abroad. It's great for single women as well as mothers and people who have families. It really targets young and old in all in depending on how you style the pieces. If you put, three of her pieces together, it might be better for somebody who's 20. But if you were to put her skirt with a white blouse, somebody who's 50 or 60 and willing to take a risk could make it happen. As you know, Barney's is a celebrity hangout, which works perfectly with Stella Jean, as many celebrities and socialites and editors have really taken a liking to the brand. And women who are shopping at Barney's are also shopping Net-a-Porter, they're shopping Bergdorf's, they're shopping Moda Operandi. So it's important to give them some of the same designers that they already have, and that Moda carries Stella. But of the other retailers, Barney's would be the only one and have that exclusivity factor in the brick and mortar. If we turn to the next page, we'll see her latest Spring Summer 15 collection, which is, why we're here. I've also provided line sheets as well, so we can go ahead with that at the end. But super bold and bright patterns. Again, fabric sourced from Haiti, which I'll touch on later, but super feminine, super fun, fresh, lively. Cotton, a lot of her stuff is made out of cotton, but it's of good quality, it's of the best quality, fits the body beautifully, and just great for all women, all body types, and that age range that we spoke on earlier. And on these next two pages, you can see a continuation of her line, bright colors again, some dresses, skirts, and tops to really kind of fit every occasion. So I know that with Barney's, being exclusive and being extremely selective into where we're retailing is important, and because of this, I still think that Stella is great. Right now, we're mainly e-commerce. We're on Moda Operandi, we're on Farfetch, we're on The Corner, My Teresa. So we have a global reach. We're a very global business from our production to where we're sold, but at the same time, we're still very niche and very exclusive. We are sold at Saks, but it's not the full line. They carry a couple of pieces each season. So being able to buy into that space at Barney's and really showing a lot of our line, I think that our results could be great, and I think that it could take off as it has on all of these other websites. As I said, the celebrity following and editor following is incredible, and through carrying the large collection and being one of the only brick and mortars, Barney's will really have the upper hand and the edge in people looking to buy the collection. It's difficult with the bold patterns to simply buy online, so being able to try it on and see how great it looks will only help the brand go farther for both Barney's and Stella Jean. So this next page I like to call the Stella Standards. As discussed, Stella goes herself to Haiti, which is where her mother was from, and she hand selects the fabric and she works with women to create just exactly what she wants. She's one of the leading ethical designers at the moment. She's worked with the Ethical Fashion Initiative. She's worked with the International Trade Center's Ethical Fashion Initiative, which is run by the UN and the World Trade Organization. She's truly a global brand and embraces globalization as well as giving jobs to women and empowering women in business. So from where her fabric is created in Haiti and now in Africa, as she partnered with in her SS14 collection with women in Africa to create fabrics, to then being made in Italy and being sent off to the US. There's really a true global feel to her collection, and she oversees the standards and is extremely selective in what is chosen, which in your store is extremely important. As not just any brand or, any sort of production is allowed into Barney's. So it's important that we maintain these standards and that we maintain, if it means that we stay a niche brand, and that's what it means, to ensure the standards and to ensure that Stella can still produce the fabrics and produce the collection the exact way that she wants it. So again, just a further way that we would be a perfect match ethically, standards, and production. So where would we fit into your store? Which I know that that's the main thing, is you have hundreds of brands coming in and out all the time. So as mentioned in our demographic and psychographic of our customer, I think it's important that we stay in the flagships only, in the big cities. We're in New York, Chicago, LA, Dallas, where there's money, where people can afford this and are willing to take the risks. I think we definitely need to drive the .com presence. The line already sells online, at other retailers, so let's just try to further boost business that way with e-commerce. It's important to see though how it will look and how we can style it. It's in the photo to the right. It's important. You can see that there's a lot of color, and some people might be intimidated. But if we teach them how to style, the clothes correctly and properly, I think it could really take off. I think we need to be in the higher end contemporary section. We're not the top price points that you guys will carry, and we recognize that, but at the same time, we're higher priced than some others. I think if we go with the Philip Lims and the young emerging contemporary brands, I think that would suit us. I think we need to offer a wider range of the. As I told you earlier, Saks does carry the line, but it's such a small amount that I don't think the real vision and feel of the line comes across. We're so different than many other lines. I think it'd be great if we could be, I understand at the beginning, maybe not, but as sales are driven, if we can be at the front, a simple merchandising display so that the colors are bright and inviting. The clothes speak for themselves. And I think that also it's important that we don't go to the co-op or to any outlets, as we want to preserve the image and the status of this brand as high-end, contemporary, and luxury. And if we turn to the final page of this proposal, we'll touch on pricing and delivery for our goods. Speaking in terms of price, we would be considered designer, not haute couture, as we're more attainable, more garments created, but definitely a designer, higher end designer. Through a partnership with Barney's, we would be encouraged to create a higher end line, possibly exclusive strictly to you guys, so that we're constantly pushing and working to be on par with those haute couture and the more exclusive lines. Our pricing is high due to the fabric selection and the craftsmanship of the garment. As I said, Stella herself goes and picks out the fabrics and has them created in Haiti, and as that costs money. So I think that, but at the same time, I think that our pricing would have to probably be cost based on target market. Most of the garments, as I said earlier, are made out of cotton. Yes, they're higher end cotton. Yes, the fabric is great. The work that goes into it is great. But we've created a price point that we know our clients can pay, and that we want our product to be a bit unattainable. We want our product to to be Barney's, and that's why I think this partnership could be dually beneficial. You know, looking at the sales of e-commerce sites such as Moda Operandi, you can see that these customers are willing to pay, and these customers are repeat customers of the brand. They're not just buying one thing. It's a skirt, it's a dress, it's a top, it's, you know, it's a swimsuit, and they're piecing it together, and they're becoming bold and confident in themselves as women and as dressers. And you know, it's important to share that with Barney's. In terms of delivery, we would be looking 30 to 45 days from now. Like I said, we want to be in store ready mid-February to really cater to those going on to spring break, going to the islands, going somewhere tropical. No advertising dollars really will be needed. People will know that we'll be in Barney's. People know our names. Editors talk. We know that it's a small industry. Um, but you know, we're here to help any way that we can. We think that the line could be great, and if that, you know, that means working together and changing some things, then we're up for it, and we'd love to make it work with you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me. Here's my contact information. Like I said, I'll leave you line sheets so you guys can see colors, size range, delivery dates. I know we touched on those on the last page, but please feel free to reach out with any questions at all. I think this could be a great fit for both Barney's and Stella Jean, as they're both right in line with each other and high fashion, and take into consideration ethical standards. Again, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to being in touch and hopefully working together in the future. I will be in touch later this week, and we can discuss moving forward. That way we can get these items in time for spring break and resort collections. Thank you so much.